We use the word crazy pretty loosely in our culture. We use it so much that it's really kind of lost its use as a distinctive word. I think if we take a closer look at what we consider a crazy person to be, we'll see that many people's worldview actually places them in this category. For example, if somebody was to live as if something that was imaginary was actually real, we would call them crazy. If there was really no bird in a room, but a person was living as if there was a bird in the room, feeding it and seriously acting day after day as if that bird was in the room, we would say that person was crazy. And it would be safe to say that person would end up in a soft, safe place, if not disregarded by all other people and left out in the streets. Now, I know the unbeliever will claim this is exactly what the Christian does when it comes to the existence of God. But before we get into the metaphysical details, let's evaluate the life of the believer and the unbeliever and see who is crazy, taking for granted their beliefs on the existence of God. Everyone, no matter what they believe, lives as if morals are a real thing and they are objective. If, as Christians, we call out someone's sin because it is harmful for people, many unbelievers will call us out for judging. Yet they are being hypocritical because they are also in turn judging us because they believe it's objectively wrong to call out certain sins that they don't consider important. Well, who has a justification for this belief in right or wrong? And who has an actual objective standard to judge from? If there is no God, then everyone just has their own opinion. And there is no one that has the real right and wrong when it comes to morality. Yet, we can't help but to live as if there is indeed a real right and wrong. So if their claim is true, the unbeliever is like that man with the bird, living as if something that they claim isn't real is actually real. That's what we call crazy. As Christians, we have no problem at all objectively calling things right or wrong because we know God's character is good and He has given us written revelation to evaluate and use as a standard. God is an immaterial being, so we have no inconsistency with us when we hold to and believe in an immaterial, objective, and universal reality like morality. Next, let's evaluate design or beauty. There's a quote from Richard Dawkins. He says, "The illusion of design is so successful that to this day, most Americans stubbornly refuse to believe it is an illusion." Now, understand, this is not a scientific statement. It's a statement of faith because there's no way he could possibly know if design was an illusion or not unless he first knew for certain if God existed or not. Well, once again, the unbeliever is forced to live as if something they claim isn't real is actually real. If design is illusion, then so is beauty. Yet, when you see a scenic view, you can't help but to be overwhelmed by this feeling. And if you didn't know any better, you would think that that scene was designed to give you this feeling. Just like everything else in the world, it works in a cause and effect manner. Bees cause pollination. The sun causes light and gives life. Trees cause oxygen. And the appearance of certain things cause us to believe certain things are beautiful and designed, as if it was all planned. But remember what Dawkins said, it's all an illusion. So when you act like or say that something is beautiful, you're actually being fooled. In other words, you're interacting with something that doesn't really exist, just like a crazy person. But once again, the believer can be consistent and he can believe something is actually beautiful, that God designed things to be beautiful, and beauty is a objective, immaterial, eternal reality that we recognize as humans being made in the image of God. We can use the same method of internal critique on the unbeliever's view on love, personhood, or the soul, logic, and purpose, all immaterial realities that they live as if they are real and just take for granted. But if there is no immaterial God to ground these things, then they are all simply parts of their imagination. And their imagination itself is just chemical reactions caused by the impersonal laws of nature working on your brain. So if someone is professing to be an atheist but claiming all these immaterial realities are real, that would pretty much cover their whole life as being imaginary. And that would be crazy. I was reading a book yesterday, and it's so funny how scientists, when they are really working together and working hard, they will get evidence for whatever idea they have. And when they want to disprove something, they get together, they work hard, and they get it done. In 1997, two scientists, one named Burke and the other Fiducia, found some serious problems with scientists who believed that dinosaurs evolved into birds. Yet they were still evolutionists, so they went on to try to prove that birds evolved from lizards that lived in the trees. So this caused a lot of tension between two groups of scientists. While one group was trying to prove ground-up evolution into birds, the other group was trying to prove tree-down evolution into birds. So the two groups started going at it, and they started critiquing each other, and they were able to find tons of problems in each one of their claims. It's amazing to see what can be done when people work together, but it's also amazing to see all the problems someone can have when they actually have healthy criticism against their ideas. This is an easy case for the Christian. Of course, they both found problems when they were trying to prove evolution either from ground up or tree down, because birds didn't evolve. They were created by God on day 5 of creation. No matter how hard the unbeliever tries to disprove the Bible, the evidence just keeps piling in to keep all their fallacious claims at bay. There is just no way to deny that this is a historical book. Also, anyone who looks objectively into the prophecies cannot deny that this is a book of revelation. And anyone who claims God doesn't exist is forced to live a life that denies this profession in every area of their life. If believers are crazy for believing in God, then this is the only area where they're crazy on, because every other part of their life fits perfectly with this metaphysical belief. Yet the atheist view is the complete opposite. Their belief denies true morality, purpose, beauty, the soul or personhood, and logic. All things that they just cannot live without. So sorry, if these are just things that you're making up in your head, then that is crazy. This sounds a lot like the futile or useless thinking that is actually a judgment from God for those who refuse to acknowledge or give thanks to God. Another spot-on diagnosis from our Creator. Right here in Romans 1:21 through 22. Because although they knew God, let me stop right there. It says they knew God. Notice it says they knew God because of these immaterial realities that I just brought up. They live like they know these things are real, and this proves that they know God. But continuing, because although they knew God, they did not glorify Him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools. Something to think about.